welcome back to Just One Question. And spring is here in Boston. I'm very excited about that. I'm also very excited about welcoming Scott Monty to the show. Scott is a leadership and communications advisor. He's a public speaker, and he's a storyteller. You can find him at scottmonty.com and somewhere in the Midwest. For obvious witness protection programs, I'll leave it vague as to where in the Midwest he is. Welcome, Scott. How are you?
Thank you, Nick. I am doing well. You know, the Midwest is where they always send the witness protection people. So we got a lot of company out here.
That's right. You're at home amongst your fellows.
Indeed, indeed. And I must say, I am pleased that we are recording this today on the birthday of William Wordsworth.
Oh,
one of my favorite poets.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with me. We're done here. That was it. That was your question given and answered and all in one go. So appreciate seriously, what are you excited about these days besides William Wordsworth?
Well, you know, it's funny because I tend to get overly excited about lots of things that happened in the past. You know, we live in a very exciting world, a very ever-changing world with surprises around every single corner. But what I've found is the deeper I get into the present, the more I realize we have so much to learn from the past. You know, I was a classics major in Boston when I went to Boston University, and I never really thought I would put the degree to use. It was just kind of a fun pastime while I worked my way to eventually earn a medical degree, which, side point, never happened. But I go back to that classics education and realize how much I learned about human nature. And I love literature, I love history, and there are stories everywhere throughout history. Stories of leaders, stories of losers, stories of regular people and the struggles that they went through and the mistakes that they made along the way. And the big aha moment for me is, why should I make the same mistake that somebody already made? Why can't I learn from somebody else's mistake and get a jump on the rest of the world if I'm a little bit ahead of the curve? And so I get excited about things that already happened because I find ways to tie them to things that are happening again and again. And I think we're all seeing that history, maybe not repeating, but certainly, speaking of Wordsworth, rhyming.
What particular stories or lessons do you tie to leadership today that come from the past? Pick any one and I'll be happy, but I can't let you get away without a specific example.
Well, look, I write about these things all the time in my newsletter, which ironically is called Timeless and Timely. What I think is probably the best leadership advice of all time, and it doesn't come from Dale Carnegie. It doesn't come from, you know, any of the latest gurus. You can actually trace it all the way back to ancient Greek philosophers. The best leadership advice of all time is know thyself. Aristotle said it, Socrates said it, know thyself. It's right in line with what we know as self-awareness or emotional intelligence, right? And this is the hallmark of a good leader. If you know yourself, that allows you to be empathetic with other people. It allows you to understand where your pitfalls and blind spots are to help improve how you practice your craft, whatever it is. And to me, that simple truth that we can go back to the ancient philosophers on, know thyself, tells us an awful lot in just those two words.
Fabulous. And do you think that hall of mirrors that we know of today as social media and the internet, does that help us to know ourselves, or does that further obfuscate ourselves?
To me, one of the other analogies I used, and this was back when, I guess going back about 5-6 years ago, when Kim Kardashian debuted her coffee table book for $75, this immense overpriced and oversized thing with a close-up of her face on the cover. When you flip through the book, it's all pictures of her from her Instagram feed.
What a surprise.
And yeah, right. And first of all, how much of a dupe does somebody have to be to go buy something that they can actually have for free on Instagram? But number two, it reminded me of the story of Narcissus, who was on his way to meet his girlfriend. And he stopped for a drink of cool water, looked down into the pond, saw his reflection, fell in love with himself. Right. And, well, by the way, his girlfriend's name was Echo. So as she called his name, that's where we get the legend of Echo from. But again, human nature, right? We've always been self-involved. We've always had opportunities to focus on the ego. And I think the danger of social media is it takes that human proclivity and it simply amplifies it because we have so many more ways right now, and the immediacy of the effect is so intoxicating.
Wonderful. Scott Monty, everybody. As you could see, we could go on chatting about the ancient Greeks and timeless wisdom forever, but it was supposed to be just one question, Nick, so I'm going to stop there and say thank you so much. It's great to have you on the show. I appreciate you. Thank you, Scott Monty.
You're very welcome, and thank you for having me here, Nick.